Hello my friends, Admin of the Exit Zone here. So, I'm still in the middle of making my next big video project. It's something that I've been working on for quite a while now, and I want to make sure it's really damn good, so I'm going to need a little bit more time with it. Nonetheless, I thought that I shouldn't just leave you guys without a video for a few weeks, so I thought I'd take something that's been on my back burner for a while and just make a quick video of it. My top 5 least favorite Danganronpa characters.
Yeah, I'm only listing 5 because, quite frankly, I do like a lot of these characters in some way. It's part of the reason why this is one of my favorite game series out right now. Hell, even the characters who everyone else seems to hate, I end up liking. Still, these 5 are the guys who I legitimately did not like either because they're annoying, obnoxious, or just plain out pricks.
As I said last time, with a video like this, spoilers are inevitable, so if you don't want any, I say stop the video right now and go play the games. They're really damn good. But still, let's just get this over with. Here are my top 5 least favorite Danganronpa characters. Now before anyone asks, no, I still haven't read the Danganronpa Zero light novels. I might read fan translations if they never localize the books in North America, but at the same time, I've read enough articles to tell me that maybe I should probably put this guy on as a dishonorable mention.
Yuto Kamishiro, the ultimate secret agent. Apparently even the writers were ashamed of this character's creation, as he is just an annoying baby-faced little brat who constantly is stuffing his face and making more inappropriate sexual advances than Brock from Pokemon. While I haven't read the story yet, I can already tell I'm not gonna like the chapters he's in. Still, let's move on to the actual list, shall we? Number 5. Kano Nakajima from Ultimate Despair Hagakure. Starting things off, we have a character who, despite only appearing as a co-star in a short story, still managed to leave a bad taste in the mouths of anyone who read it. Kano is the cousin of Leon Kawata from the first game. She managed his baseball team, doing things like encouraging the team, refilling their water balls, and stalking Leon day in and day out. You know, just normal manager stuff. But yeah, as it turns out, she's a total yandere who, I remind you, was trying to date her cousin.
I tell you, I won't live in a town that robs men of the right to marry their cousins.
Leon rightfully denied the 3,999 confessions from her, but that never stopped her. For anyone out there who thought Sugaha was off-putting for wanting to hook up with Kito, at least she was able to take a hint unlike this bitch. Now, to be fair, she is higher on this list for a few reasons. One being that she's portrayed as being at least competent with the hacking gun, appropriate considering her design was actually an early one for Komaru. And she does develop over the course of her short story, going from wanting to avenge Leon by killing the survivors of the first game, to wanting to help one of them with his problems. So she's not a terrible person, just really squicky with her little obsession over incest and all that. Speaking of the person she was trying to help, we'll get to him in a bit, but first... Number 4. Byakuya Togami, the ultimate affluent progeny from Danganronpa 1. Oh boy, I can already hear all the fangirls complain, but let's all be honest here. This dude's a douche. He's an elitist asshole who plays it up like he's the most intelligent member of the group, even though he never actually solves the mystery and in fact is way off the mark in one instance. His personality alone is grady as all hell, but what really got him on this list was what he did in the second chapter of the game. After witnessing Mondo fleeing the scene after murdering Chihiro, Rather than revealing to the others what he saw, he instead felt the need to mess with the crime scene in order to make things more interesting from his perspective. This included crucifying Chihiro's corpse and using his blood to write a message to make it look like Genocider Jack had done it.
What an asshole!
You know, not even the Adam Sandler clip feels apt to describe this guy's assholery. I mean, he threw off an investigation, desecrated a corpse, and felt no remorse or ever apologized for his actions. Now granted, he does start to join the group by the end of the game, and later becomes a very competent member of the Future Foundation in the sequels. He is showing signs that he is becoming a better person by helping rescue Komaru and the survivors of Danganronpa 2, so he's safe from being any higher on this list. But still, for crucifying one of my favorite characters, you are definitely on my lie list, Four Eyes.
We're gathered here in the pursuit of justice. Your twisted kinks aren't germane to the issue at hand.
Ah, shut your whole ass face!
Number 3. Teru Hanamura, the ultimate cook from Danganronpa 2. I gotta wonder if Yuto Kamishiro was meant to be an even worse version of this character. Not that this little horn dog is that much better. If he's not bragging about his cooking, he's making sexual passes at all the ladies, and even a little at the guys. Yeah, he swings both ways.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
Now, in his mind, he sees himself as a lovable little sex freak. But nope, he's just an annoying little perv. Now, he does gain some sympathy points during his trial and execution in the first chapter of the game, where we learned that he did it all to save his mother, but even that is kind of negated during his final free time event. There, it's heavily implied and even kind of confirmed in Danganronpa 0 that he laces his food with addictive drugs, meaning that he likely got his ultimate chef title by cheating. There are thousands of struggling chefs out there, but he cut to the front of the line by giving his customers unhealthy addictions. Oh, and also, Haiji felt sleepy after eating one of his laced rice balls.
He tried to roofie the main character. I just wish Gordon Ramsay would go to town on this little Master Chef reject.
You still look fabulous, by the way, huh? You should be covering GQ, you. Front cover, Captain Dick.
Number 2. Yoshihiro Hagakure, the ultimate clairvoyant from Danganronpa 1. To Yasuhiro's credit, he did prove one thing. Hopeseek Academy's selections process is highly flawed. I mean, wow, this character is just so pathetic. In the first game, he was in his early 20s and was still attending high school. Pretty amazing when you consider the Japanese school system usually doesn't allow students to repeat grades. Now, the game does try to play him up as a genius ditz by suggesting that he's skilled enough to amass a fortune through his fortune telling. In other words, he probably conned them, but whatever, he's actually pretty clever as he was able to make a lot of money for himself. And then we find out it was all for nothing as he ends up spending it all on insanely overpriced phony crystal balls. So, yeah, he's a hopeless idiot. What's worse is his stupidity ends up getting in the way of a couple of investigations. Now, admittedly, the first time wasn't entirely his fault, but the second time, he intentionally tried to frame someone else for a possible murder. This idiot knows what's going to happen if the wrong person is framed for a murder, and yet we're supposed to sympathize with him? We're supposed to be glad that he was one of the survivors of the first game instead of great characters like Ishimaru or Celestia, just about anyone else? I think I would have preferred the version of the first chapter from the demo. That way at least Leon would have survived. Still, after joining Future Foundation and taking part in the battle against Ultimate Despair, maybe he could go through some character development. As I already mentioned, Kanon was the co-star of Ultra Despair Hagakure, a side story that is unlocked after you beat Ultra Despair Girls. So if Kanon can be seen as an XB of Komaru, then maybe Yasuhiro is Toko, who in the game proper went through some amazing character development, so maybe Yoshihiro will go through some as well.
No.
As it turns out, despite it basically being the apocalypse, our idiot fortune teller still owed people money, so he went to Toa City in the hopes of looting enough stuff to pay off his debts. Luckily for him, he ran into Kanon, who happened to be loaded, and does not know the value of $1. So, throughout the story, he's trying to hook up with Kanon in the hopes of booting off her family to pay off his debts. I remind you, this is supposed to be one of our heroes, who's set to appear in the next chapter of the Danganronpa story. I predict that any future with this douchey idiot moocher will bring upon great misfortune.
What's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle caused an atomic level spontaneous combustion!
Nice hair. You should keep it. It looks more sciencey.
Number 1. Haiji Toa from Ultra Despair Girls. Oh yeah, just like Chiaki being at the top of my best characters list, I bet you guys were predicting this waste of human life was at the top of my worst list. Haiji pretty much takes all the bad elements of the previous 4, but removes any slight redeeming qualities. Yes, despite how much I just bashed on the last few guys, I do think there was space for redemption no matter how small. For Haiji, I see nothing. If you need an idea of what kind of a leader he was, think Captain Rhodes from Day of the Dead, minus the awesome death scene. In fact, you can pretty much imagine him being like any of those elitist assholes or idiot leader characters from Romero's movies. You know, those guys who insist on maintaining a siege mentality even though that's one of the worst things you can do in a zombie epidemic, or in this case a killer teddy bear epidemic. What's worse is that he does know ways of ending the siege, but never acts on them because of his own cowardice. Why does he know? Well, it's because it was his company that originally made the Monokumas. Specifically, it was his adoptive little sister Monica who oversaw the production. Both he and his father knew that Monica was contributing to Ultra Despair, but never stopped her because she was making money for them. So yeah, the whole end of the world, it's at least partially his fault. Yet this asshole never owns up to any of his mistakes or admits that maybe he shouldn't have abused his younger sister for all those years and possibly turned her to a sociopath. Now, I get that she's supposed to be a villain we should hate, but, you know, there's a big difference between villains we love to hate and a villain who we just plain hate. Villains we love to hate are the charismatic ones with the intelligence and power to match their egos. Your Light Yogamis, your Dr. Dooms, your Lex Luthors, and yes, even the main villains of this series. They all feel like legitimate threats who, even though you don't want to side with them, you do also kind of understand what they're trying to do. Villains like Haiji have zero charisma. It's implied that he was mooching off of his rich family his entire life. Seriously, check out this guy's hair. He and Yoshihiro really need to go see the barber already. Are idiots who will commit heinous acts, even though they might end up making their situation worse. Oh yeah, yell at the mentally unstable kid with the giant sniper mech. You are so SMRT. And worst of all are absolute hypocrites. Seriously, you see nothing ironic about the giant mech you're using to take back the city with? Oh well, now that you actually have the power to push people around, now you're willing to fight back. To put it simply, Haiji is the worst kind of fictional villain. A bully.
I don't want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies.
Nothing more, nothing less. At least with all of the previous characters, they all had some likable traits or abilities that made them feel unique. Haiji is just any other asshole who really adds little to the story other than demeaning both sides of the conflict. Being the leader of the adult resistance, he makes them all look like a bunch of idiot assholes for following him, and makes Monica look less threatening by giving her an unnecessary sibling abuse backstory. My headcanon says that she was just born evil, and the abuse didn't really do anything other than inconvenience her because, let's face it, she's the real villain here. Meanwhile, for being an unnecessary, unlikable prick of an antagonist who deserved to be ripped apart by a bunch of Monokuma, Haiji Toa earns his place as my least favorite Danganronpa character ever.
Hope, despair, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, well, fuck you too, sister.
Still, for every bad character in Danganronpa, there's about 2 or 3 good characters that I ended up really liking. Even those who started off as candidates for this list became far more likable by the end of their story arcs. As such, I am looking forward to the next chapter of the Danganronpa story, as long as Makoto West is not writing it.
Which, by the way, who is writing for the end of Hopeseek Academy? Hope still very much exists for this franchise. Until next time, my friends.